I never imagined a birthday could hurt this much. Not the kind of pain that fades with a bandage or time, but the kind that settles deep in your chest and twists every heartbeat. I remember the first moment I felt it, the way she looked at him. It wasn't just a glance. It lingered, sharp and knowing, like a secret shared between them. And the cruelest part? I was supposed to be the one she looked at that way, the one she shared those quiet smiles with. It was my 38th birthday. I had taken the day off, planning something simple and warm, just us. Maybe breakfast together, a small cake, and laughter that felt like old times. I even brought her favorite lilies, picturing the soft smile she'd give when I handed them to her. But reality struck hard the moment I stepped into the cafe she'd chosen for brunch. She sat across from a man I barely recognized. Someone from yoga, she'd later explain. But the way they sat, close, comfortable, made my stomach knot. "Happy birthday, love," she chirped as I approached, her smile too bright, her eyes holding something unfamiliar. "Thanks," I managed, forcing a grin as I slid into the seat. I wanted to take her hand, but she didn't reach for mine. Instead, she leaned toward him, laughing softly, her head tilting the same way it used to when she looked at me. That small gesture hit harder than I expected. Then came the touch, light, deliberate, and too intimate. Her fingers brushed his arm as she laughed again, and I felt something in me fracture. I stared at the pancakes on my plate, appetite gone. "I got you something," she said suddenly, pushing a tiny box toward me. My heart jumped. Maybe this was her way of showing love, I thought. "Open it," she urged. Inside was a bracelet with our initials engraved. I should have felt moved, but instead, there was only a hollow ache. She gave me that gift while her eyes flicked back to him, the man who'd stolen glances meant for me. I held the bracelet, its weight heavy with meaning. "It's nice," I muttered, forcing a smile. She laughed again, that same soft laugh that used to belong only to me, and leaned close to whisper something to him. That's when the dam broke. What was meant to be a day of warmth turned into a reflection of everything we'd lost. We left the cafe soon after. The car ride was quiet except for her humming along to the radio. So casual, so unaffected. I wanted to ask her why, to demand an explanation, but the words tangled in my throat, caught between anger and heartbreak. When we finally got home, I faced her. I had practiced this moment in my head, but when I spoke, my voice was barely steady. "Who was he?" I asked quietly. She froze, her smile fading. For the first time that day, she looked at me, really looked at me. Guilt flickered in her eyes, but so did defiance. "It's nothing," she said quickly, waving her hand like it was all in my head. "Nothing." I let out a sharp, bitter laugh. "You were flirting with him right in front of me, laughing at his jokes, while I sat there like a fool on my own birthday." Her lips parted, but no words came. And in that silence, I realized something in us had already broken long before that morning. But no words came. For a second, I thought she'd deny it, maybe even try to comfort me with another lie. But she didn't. "I can't help it sometimes," she whispered, her voice trembling just enough to cut through me. "I just feel alive with him. I don't feel that way with you anymore." Each word landed like a blow to my chest. And yet, beneath the heartbreak, a strange calm took over, cold, steady, and painfully clear. The woman I had built my world around had already left me long before this day. And now, on my birthday, she'd finally shown me where I truly stood. I didn't cry.
Not yet.
I didn't yell. Not yet. I just turned and walked to the bedroom, my hands shaking as I tried to breathe. "I think you should leave," I said at last, voice steady though my heart was in pieces. "What?" she asked, confusion flashing across her face. "You heard me," I replied quietly.
Leave.
"Take him or don't. But I can't stay here pretending I'm enough while you give yourself to someone else." Her face paled. "You're overreacting. It's just a fling. A moment." "No," I interrupted, my voice trembling but firm. "It's not just a moment. It's months of quiet betrayal. I see it now. I just needed to face it in the open, and you've helped me do that. So, I'm giving you a gift, the gift of goodbye." Her eyes widened in disbelief, then darkened with anger. Goodbye? You can't just. I can, I said, meeting her stare.
And I am.
I've loved you longer than I should have, given more than you ever deserved. But this is my birthday, my life, and my heart, and I'm done letting you break them. I began packing a small bag. Each folded shirt felt like reclaiming a piece of my dignity, each item a quiet declaration that I would no longer live half a life.
She didn't follow.
Didn't plead. Didn't even apologize. She just stood there, frozen, as I walked out the door. The bracelet she'd given me sat on the dresser, a cruel symbol of what we once were. I didn't call anyone that night. Didn't go anywhere. I just drove, past familiar streets, under fading city lights that blurred into streaks across the windshield. I thought of our past, the dinners, the vacations, the laughter that once filled our home. And finally, I cried. Not for her. Not for the betrayal. But for the man I used to be, the one who believed love could survive anything. The weeks that followed were a storm of anger and grief. Friends called, offering sympathy and advice, but I knew no one could fix what had shattered. Healing, I realized, would have to come from within. Then came the day in court. She had filed for divorce almost immediately, as if cutting me out of her life was nothing more than turning a page in a book she'd finished. And there she was, standing beside him, laughing softly, her hand intertwined with his. The pain hit again, but this time, it didn't destroy me. It freed me. I wasn't desperate anymore. I wasn't broken. I was free to let go, to rebuild, to live again. When the judge finalized the divorce, she glanced at me one last time. I don't know what she saw, regret, sorrow, or perhaps the quiet strength of a man who had finally let go. I walked out of that courtroom lighter than I'd felt in years. That night, I poured myself a glass of whiskey, the amber glow warm in my hand. I sat by the window, watching the city lights flicker against the darkness. For the first time in months, I felt peace. The bracelet still rested in my drawer, not a symbol of loss, but of choice. I didn't throw it away. I didn't need to. It reminded me of the moment I chose myself, the moment I refused to be second in my own life. Time moved slowly, then all at once. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and I learned to smile again. To laugh without guilt, to find joy without fear. I met new people, built new connections, and even began to believe in love again. Not the blind, reckless love I once gave her, but something steadier, wiser, and rooted in self-respect. The memory of her betrayal still lingered, yes, but it no longer held power over me. I had given her the gift of goodbye, and in doing so, I had given myself the gift of freedom. That year, I realized birthdays aren't just about candles and cakes. They're about reflection, about understanding who you are and who you're becoming. And that birthday taught me the most valuable lesson of all. Sometimes, the hardest gifts to give are the ones you give yourself. Because sometimes, the greatest act of love is knowing when to let go.